The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words.
Hello, it's new Vancouver Canucks head coach Adam Foote. I want to show appreciation and love to Cactus Club Cafe. Without it, Vancouver would not have lettuce wraps. And we need lettuce wraps. We also need a Stanley Cup. Thankfully, I love defense. Defense. And defense wins championships. Go Canucks go. I can't wait to get started.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What the was that, man? Unbelievable. What
it was Adam Foote. Adam Foote, you head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, man.
Sometimes when you listen to Locked On Canucks or watch Locked On Canucks, it feels like a psychedelic trip, baby. And that's the kind of experience here on Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs, as always, joined by my co-host, Kyle Bhawan. Happy to be here for you, even through the dark times here on Locked On Canucks. Before we dive into the episode, we got to thank you for tuning in, and we also got to thank those sponsors, baby. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Adam, coach, he just won the job to be the Canucks' new head coach. What does that mean for the organization moving forward? And more importantly, what is Adam Foote's top priority with the Vancouver Canucks? Because I think it really boils down to two things. So let's get into that. Let's talk about the lack of a Quinn Hughes cosign. That came up during today's media availability today as well. We'll also get to some other news and notes from Adam Foote's first press conference with Canucks media. Before we do all that, let me introduce my co-host, who is now, he's about to be 32 years old, starting tomorrow. Kyle Bhawan, happy early birthday, brother. How you doing, man?
You know, I'm getting older, getting balder. Taking it day by day, man. Right? Banana smoothies every now and then. I'm eating dates now instead of chocolate bars. Trying to conquer erectile dysfunction. Hey, trying to win a Stanley Cup. Trying to sign Quinn Hughes. Trying to win some games. And trying to believe in Adam Foote, okay? And, yeah, you know, I'm going to do my best to be optimistic, but I can't help but feel a little bored after that press conference. And I feel as if there was some bit of a rush here when it came to making this decision. And I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know where to go from here. And I know it's all wait and tell or wait and see. And it doesn't really matter. Like this whole season, next season really hinges on the success of Elias Pettersson for real. But to say that I feel more confident as a Canucks fan today would be bullshit, Trevor.
Well, and I think one of the things that you're alluding to, Kyle, and you and I talked about before hopping on was, you know, shout out to our buddy Chris Faber. I mean, Adam Foote, he hops off the plane in Vancouver and just hops on Chris Faber's Canucks Insider podcast a day before meeting with Canucks media. And I think, you know, Faber obviously does his thing, does a great job. But one of the most interesting comments from Adam Foote to come out of that podcast was the fact that he said that he likes the defense more and he could see himself continuing just to run out defense pairs while his assistant runs the forwards, which would be completely different from what every other NHL team does, where the head coach runs the forwards and assistant coaches run the defense. No other NHL team does it the way Adam Foote was alluding to. But then when he comes out and says his press conference, he's like, "Oh well, you know, we have to hire a defensive coach and we have to hire an offensive coach." And you know, Kyle, what I wanted to talk about today was, I think the top priority for Adam Foote with this coaching staff and with the job of the Vancouver Canucks is to find the right assistant coach. You know, again, for Canucks fans that were, you know, wanting change and, you know, a different thinking, a different attitude coming into the Vancouver Canucks, you're not really going to get that in Foote, right? I mean, sure, he's different from Rick Tocchet, but these are guys who are defense first. I mean, that's just the way that Foote has played and coached the game throughout his life. So in terms of getting different ideas, mentality from your head coach, not going to happen. So you need the right assistant coach in place who is going to motivate the forwards, who's going to help with the power play, and potentially even run the forward lines. And I mean, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, or give me your take. Is that the top priority for the Vancouver Canucks
No, it
now
is.
that Adam Foote is in place?
Yeah, the Canucks need a number 2 center, another top 6 winger, and now they need to make sure they get the best assistant coaches in hockey. Now, more notable on the whole assistant coaches thing, I feel as if to spin it into like a complete positive, you have to think that that's a desirable position, because there's going to be a lot of responsibility on you. There's going to be a bit of a learning curve. There's going to be a lot of experience to be gained there. And if you can excel as an assistant coach with Adam Foote, you're probably going to be a head coach in a couple of minutes. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're running the forwards and whatnot. And I guess, Trevor, that's normally like the head coach's job, you know? What line's going out, what line's going out, what line's going out. And yeah, the assistant coaches are going to have to do a lot of work here. And, you mentioned a couple of names to me on the phone call that we had earlier. Alex Tanguay, Peter Forsberg, Alex Burrows, maybe, who knows? But the Canucks and Aquilini, they're going to have to spend some money to get these guys. Like, it's got to be a loaded staff. And you know what worked a couple years ago for this team, right? Was just that. Having Gonchar, Adam Foote, the Sedins, Rick Tocchet, it worked. They all love that. And they're going to have to replicate that, but in a different way. And to be honest, kind of just surrounding Adam Foote with more offense. But on that note, he did mention that he wants a defensive guy too to be with him. So, hey, defense wins championships, right? Yep, Trevor. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the way the Canucks are constructed right now, as we all know. And, Adam Foote, again, talking about it being a 5-man unit. And, if I'm going to give Foote some credit here, like, I don't think he looked nervous out there in his first pressure as Canucks head coach. But I did feel like a lot of hockey cliches were thrown out there at the end of the day. But, I mean, yeah, you alluded to it. Let's touch on some of the potential assistants out there. And, I keep going back to the Colorado Avalanche right? I mean, that's where Adam Foote had his most success as a player. And, I think it makes sense to have some familiarity, someone behind the bench, someone you can confide in, someone you trust. I don't think it's going to be someone who's a complete stranger. And, it's worth noting in this conversation that, Adam Foote mentioned there's a lot of good guys in the Canucks organization as well, who could be assistant coaches behind the bench. But let's touch on 2 former Avalanche in particular. One is Alex Tanguay, who Alex Tanguay has now been an assistant coach with the Detroit Red Wings for 4 seasons now. Obviously a great, bright offensive mind and a great offensive player when he was in Colorado. That doesn't always translate to coaching, but Alex Tanguay is a guy who has experience, who played with Foote for a long time. I could easily see Alex Tanguay being a potential assistant for the Vancouver Canucks. And when you look at power play this season, the Detroit Red Wings, they were not great at 5-on-5, but they had one of the best power plays in the league, and with Alex Tanguay at the helm. So to me, that is one of the most interesting names. And Dan Hinote, he has been an assistant coach now for parts of 8 NHL seasons. He was an associate coach for the Colorado Eagles, who are now facing off against the Abbotsford Canucks, ironically, in the AHL playoffs. But Kyle, do either of those names stand out to you? Do you see that being likely for the Vancouver Canucks, just going full Avalanche mode on the Canucks coaching staff?
Yeah, Alex Tanguay has had some success with Detroit on the power play. Like that's appealing. That's appealing to me. And the Yogi guy that we hired last year, that we promoted, you could make the argument that it didn't work out. Right? Yeah. You could say that. Now, a lot of injuries, didn't help that as well. Trevor, I got to answer this damn house phone. I can't believe I got a house phone in this damn studio, okay? Can you just keep talking? My back.
Well, I want to get to this comment from Greedo. We love the commenters here. Locked on Canucks. Greener in the comments saying, so Trevor's saying we're getting Tanguay and Dylan Larkin. Of course, we talked about that too. The potential of the Canucks getting Dylan Larkin this offseason now that maybe he's beaking a bit with Steve Yzerman, the Red Wings general manager. Look, I am saying that. Let's go. Larkin and Tanguay coming to your Vancouver Canucks. But let me throw out one pie in the sky coaching candidate. I don't think it's likely, but we got to mention him. One of the Swedish goats, one of Foote's former teammates, Peter Forsberg.
Do it.
Childhood friend of Marcus Naslund as well, of course. Well known and beloved in this city. Look, I don't think Peter Forsberg is coming over here. He's got 3 kids. They live in Europe. Doesn't really have coaching experience. But talk about a guy who, we were talking about in the same vein as Elias Pettersson a few seasons back in terms of what they were doing early on in their careers. And Forsberg, a stockier player, definitely a different style than Pettersson, but two of the sickest hands in the NHL. It would be interesting to me, and it's more pie in the sky, but wouldn't that be something if one of the Swedish legends in NHL history came to Vancouver to try to revive Elias Pettersson's career?
Can you hear the house phone in the back? I'm sorry. Can you hear that?
I heard it before. I can't hear it now.
It's still ringing. Anyways, Peter Forsberg, that'd be something. It would be huge. It would be groundbreaking, and maybe he could get to a guy like Elias Pettersson. Peter Forsberg, also one of my favorite players. And Peter Forsberg, longtime teammate of Adam Foote. And Trevor, I know this bugged you. I know it bugged you just a bit. Not to sidetrack too much, but how about Adam Foote starting off? He's 22nd head coach in Vancouver Canucks history, 55 years. Do the math. We suck, okay? Sorry. Just like that's a lot of head coaches over a 55-year span. You know the Green Bay Packers have had 3 quarterbacks in like 35 plus years, 30 years. So just think about that. Anyways, Adam Foote started off his press conference talking about how many, he alluded to the fact about how many times Colorado would come to Vancouver and kick our ass. That's how he started his press conference. So yeah, hire Peter Forsberg. Let's bring him. Let's bring him. Hey, maybe you could tell Joe Sakic stop being the president of hockey ops in Colorado, be an assistant captain.
The Vancouver Canucks are now rebranding to the Vancouver Avalanche.
Might as well get Steve Moore too. Let's bring him on here.
Oh God. Yeah, let's have Steve Moore and Todd Bertuzzi as the assistant coaches of your Vancouver Canucks. Okay, so this is going off the rails quick. Okay, let's get to break here. And on the other side, I want to talk about more internal candidates who among current Canucks staff could be behind the bench next season. And let's also talk about the lack of a Quinn Hughes co-sign. Were we lied to? Did we lie to the people? I guess we'll have to find out next here on Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to the show, we got to shout out our friends over at FanDuel, all right? And man, oh man, when the Canucks out of the den, sometimes you need to add a little extra sizzle to watch NHL hockey, although, man, oh man, these playoffs have been pretty damn entertaining so far. But, with the NBA, the NHL playoffs, both in full swing and every night's delivering highlight reel performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy, okay? So go hop on the app and go place some bets. And me, I got the Winnipeg Jets bias. There's still my team left in the dance, okay? Growing the beard from my dad, born in Winnipeg. And they're down 3-1 to the Dallas Stars, but my money is on them, at least forcing the game 6 here. Although, the Stars, they're the better team, man. Mikko Rantanen, and you're something else in these playoffs. So maybe a Mikko Rantanen anytime goal, a Jets win. Give me those bets. Whatever bets you're placing, make sure you head over to FanDuel right now and place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Let's do this. Shout out to FanDuel. People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. I apologize for the house phone ringing in the studio. Apparently, it's 2003 all over again, okay? Hey, Trevor, do you remember the Yellow Books? The Yellow Book thingy?
Oh, of course, man, yeah.
Yeah, back in my day, we had Yellow Books, okay? For real. I'm 32 pretty soon. Crazy how life is taking me this far. And if we want to go all the way back to like 2003 again, Adam Foote, big-time member of the Colorado Avalanche. And Adam Foote overall, just an underrated player, right? And you look at that team, Rob Blake, Alex Tanguay, Milan Hajduk, Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Patrick Waugh, like there's Adam Foote there. And then you get older in life and you realize that, that team needed Adam Foote. And that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. And, he touched on maybe not being the most offensive guys, but how he was able to read the offensive side of the game based on who he was playing against, right? Or how he had to read the offensive side of the game to be a better defender. And let's give the guy some credit for that. Again, for me, listening to the presser, a little bit of doom and gloom, but that's me being pessimistic and me being an asshole. Hey, this is a really, really good hockey player, a Hall of Fame guy type guy who played with a lot of great players. And Trevor, there's a chance. There's a chance that he's the best coach in Canucks history, Trevor.
Oh, of course. And we talked about it yesterday too, right? It's just, you often never know. I mean, we were all applauding the Bruce Brujo hire, right? And look how bad that turned out. We were all crapping on the Rick Tocchet hire. That ended up being pretty damn good. And here we are, crapping on the Adam Foote hire. Not us in particular, but most of the fan base isn't too happy about it. And again, it could still work out here for your Vancouver Canucks. Again, it's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom because nothing went right this season. And here Kyle and I are talking to Locked On Devils. You'll hear that episode drop tomorrow on the network. Not a live show as I'm heading out of town, but we talked to Locked On Devils about Quinn Hughes going to New Jersey, Hughes' brother coming back. And honestly, it doesn't look good for your Vancouver Canucks. So a lot of negativity right now, but that being said, it's easy to get caught in the negativity and just be clouded to the fact that things could be moving in the right direction. And look, there's reasons to be skeptical of the Foote hire. We talked about on this show. I've said very bluntly, I thought Manny was a better candidate. I would have gone in the Manny Malhotra direction. Mm-hmm. But Adam Foote, again, I think he, this day and age is all about, communicating with your players, being a good player's coach. And, Foote has prided himself on that. And you can hear it in the way he talks, the way players talk about him, that, this is a guy that isn't going to come in here and be a hard ass. He's a guy that likes getting along with players and just genuinely wants to help people. Can he, toe that line and still command their respect? That's what we have to wait and see. But again, he's going to be a guy that's well liked in that room, and who knows, maybe that'll lead to him being well liked by this fan base.
Oh, Trevor, I'm getting something. Hello, Vancouver. I hope you have a foot fetish, because Adam Foote is the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. I'm Adam Foote, and next season, expect things to be different. After I shove my foot up Elias Pettersson's ass and motivate him to be the best version of himself, you best believe that everything will change. And Quinn Hughes will sign for 10 years because he has a foot fetish too. I mean, he loves winning.
Wow.
So I guess what? Yeah, breaking news. Thanks to Adam Foote, head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, for joining the program. Getting along with the players, boom, bam, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Who gives a puck, okay? Can he get the most out of Elias Pettersson? Like, is the communication good? Is the respect there? Because that has to be the case, right? I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared, for real, because Adam Foote was there when Elias Pettersson kind of, turned his shoulder to the team, didn't want to listen to the coaching staff, want to do things his own way, right? Quote unquote. But that guy's still there. And we need Pettersson to listen, right? We need him to feel accountable, feel like he has a team around him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that everyone's there to support him. And I wonder if not having a new face allows him to just, keep the ego and keep thinking he can do things by himself. Because we need this guy to wake up. Like, we need Elias Pettersson to make Adam Foote look like the best coach in hockey. Can he do it?
I mean, Kyle, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, that's how Adam Foote keeps his job here in Vancouver, is he's got to fix Elias Pettersson. And when the title of the episode, what is Adam Foote's top priority at the Vancouver Canucks coach? I really think it boils down to two things. It's his top priority is either fixing Elias Pettersson or finding the right assistant coach to get the most out of the forward group. And I think it's easy to say it's Elias Pettersson. I think it's really a toss-up between the two. But, I talked about it, Foote's positivity. He's mentioned on the podcast with Fabry for other players talk about how good of a communicator he is, how much he just genuinely wants to help players. Pettersson, I think, is a guy that does thrive on positivity. He does need to be, kept in line at certain points so that his ego is not getting the better of him. But if you can keep his ego in check and keep it positive with Elias Pettersson, assuming he gets back to full health, I think those are the keys to unlocking him. And I think there's a chance that Foote can do that in Vancouver. We also talked about the Sedins maybe having more of an impact too. And, it's I'm curious, Kyle, if you think that if there's any shot that the Sedins end up behind the bench here in Vancouver. Again, we talk about them and Pettersson and how could they help each other. And they've been on the ice with a lot of Canucks practices, but they have been more of in a player development role with Abbotsford. But do you think the Sedins have any chance at stepping behind the bench for the Vancouver Canucks this season?
I would like that. And I think they're the guys, man. For real. I think they're the guys. They're uber competitive. They're articulate. They know how to work hard. They weren't the biggest guys, but again, they practice the hardest. Right? Like they can set the tone. Like, dude, I hope if the Sedins become assistant coaches, they're not working harder than Elias Pettersson at practice. And and again, the one thing that I noticed too from Adam Foote's conversation with Chris Faber. Now, this is the one that was like released like 7 weeks ago, or 6 weeks ago, or 5 weeks ago. He talked about how Joe Sakic was the hardest working player in practice. So again, we had talk about Sidney Crosby and the best of the best, and Adam Foote played with Joe Sakic, and it's like, yo, this guy was like 38, 39 years old, still being the best practice player on our team. And that's what it comes down to. And Trevor, that whether it be Henrik or Daniel or not, like the Canucks just need to be better when it comes to practicing. And it sounds so childish to say that because it's an effort level thing, and this is the pros, but that's just got to stop. And can Adam Foote like be the guy to get the most out of these guys day in and day out? That's another challenge too. So when you talk about this guy being a player's coach, having a calm demeanor and all that stuff, I'm like, it's cool and great and all, but just for now, just right now, I'm just a little curious if like they needed that as opposed to like a bit of can I say dictator in 2025? Probably not, but like just more of like you know what I'm saying? A hard ass. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point there, Kyle. And I'm not sure exactly what the answer is, but I am intrigued with the idea of the Sedin stepping behind the bench. I don't see it being likely, but it's interesting right now. When you go to the Vancouver Canucks website, it has been updated showing Adam Foote as the head coach. It still lists Yogi Svechkovsky as an assistant. It still lists Gonchar as defensive development coach. Dylan Crawford is the video coach. You do have the Sedins listed in there in player development. Mikko Samuelsson, Mike Komisarek also listed in player development. So if you're looking for internal candidates to step behind the bench, it really is those guys there too. The one name I didn't mention, Ian Beckenstein, assistant video coach, but it's really Svechkovsky, Gonchar, the Sedins, Samuelsson, and Komisarek. I think those are really the internal candidates, unless you're going down to Abbotsford and, like Manny Malhotra comes up and ends up being an assistant coach here. I don't see that being that likely, although I think it's a possibility. Like we said, they're former teammates. Kyle, before we got to break, any chance Manny Malhotra steps up and is an assistant coach for the Canucks next season?
No way, dude. These guys both competed for the same job. You can't have that. You can't have that dynamic on the bench. Unless, and I mentioned this yesterday, like I dropped a little episode at like 10:45 at night because I was depressed and bald and just like, the Oilers got to the Western Conference Finals, and we took 1 foot. We took 1 foot forward by taking 2 foot back. Is that how you say, Trevor? Could we hired Adam Foote? I don't even know what I'm saying here, but the only way I see Manny doing that is if he's like the ultimate Canuck. He's like, you know what? I don't care that Adam Foote beat me out for this job. I just want to help the Vancouver Canucks, and I think I can do so by being an assistant coach. Right? And yeah.
And honestly, like, again, Manny Malhotra, a guy that's bled the blue and green, a guy that wants to help this franchise, see this franchise win. And honestly, a guy who, if he's, forward thinking enough, might see a path where, he could potentially take over this bench in a couple of years as well. And maybe he's willing to put in the time. But
yeah,
it's more so about helping this team now. And the guys are former teammates in Columbus, as we mentioned. All right, to wrap up the show here, I do want to get to a few comments, a few interesting comments here on Locked On Canucks. So we'll wrap up on the other side here on Locked On Canucks.
People, we back doing this, and that's, talking about your Canucks, talking about having a foot fetish now. Congratulations. All of us have foot fetishes. We all want to have foot fetishes, for real. As Canucks fans, we want to love feets. How do I say it, Trevor? I don't know. I'm not kinky like you, okay? Because, yeah, I know you suck toes. Okay, you know what, Trevor? Let's just get to some comments, okay? Trevor, can you click the button and get to some comments? Something about the feet, man. I want to get turned on by the feet. Okay, read some. Click the button.
Oh man, talking about the feet, eh? I don't see a feet comment right here, but I'm gonna cut to Andrew first. Okay, Foote said, "I want systems, but I want it to be natural." Oh yeah, those natural feet. And Andrew says, "It made me think he's going to be a good coach. structure, but feel the play and do what you think is right. Foote had an interesting comment to Faber on his podcast from yesterday about how in his first few seasons in the NHL, despite the fact that coaches were teaching structure for him, he was just out there and playing and out there surviving. And, I wonder if that relatability will apply to the way Foote coaches behind the bench. And again, like we alluded to, don't expect a lot of structure changes. The guys that have been here before that are returning to the Vancouver Canucks should get it, should get the systems. And again, it makes me wonder though, because again, Tocchet gets all this flack for, not opening it up and, his system hampering the players. Tocchet was screaming for these guys to be more productive last season, right? He was screaming for them to be more creative, and they just didn't have the speed to do it. Obviously, lacking the star power with Elias Pettersson being gone. I mean, for all the argument about the Vancouver Canucks not having the system last year, look at Quinn Hughes. Hughes doesn't play in a system; he just does his thing out there, right? Because he has the trust of the coaching staff and other Canucks players. I don't think there was this crazy leash on the Canucks players last season limiting their offense. So for me, it's a motivational aspect and a team building aspect. I think Foote's job is, not to make it worse. And mainly just try to, support these guys and trying to be better. And going back to the top priority, I think a big part of it is just bringing in the right assistant coaches.
Yeah. The whole thing with the offense and the coaching and the flair and the lack of it last year I understand a lot of that has to do with the systems and what you're practicing, but let's be real. Their number one center turned into Philip Deneau halfway through the 2024 season. That changes everything, because if he's feeling himself but still playing within the system, a sticky system, if he's at 100%, just like what Quinn Hughes is doing, then there's flow, there's fluidity, there's instinct, there's fun, right? And the trickle-down effect of Elias Pettersson bouncing around, doing his thing, being a magician out there, it pays off. Watch the Florida Panthers. Like, you don't think guys like Matthew Tkachuk and Barkov are creative, even though they play such a sticky, hard-nosed system? For real. Look at guys like McDavid and Draisaitl. I know they're outliers because they're like Lemieux and Gretzky, but look how that team plays. They just beat the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. They play hard to get. They play within the system. They play structured. They play winning hockey, but those two are allowed, because of their instincts and their confidence, they play free. And because, they add a couple goals to the game, or, even if they're just generating chances, then you have guys like Connor Brown or Sam Bennett or Lundell or other guys just feeling themselves because there's less pressure on them, knowing that the guy at the top of the lineup is a magician right now. You know what I'm saying? So the coaching is one thing, and it has some stuff to do with it, but on a team that's employing an $11.6 million player, guys, let's be honest. Let's be real. It's on Pettersson. The offense of this team is on Pettersson.
Yeah, and let's go to another commenter who says that. I mean, Hangia, shout out to Hangia in the comments saying, Hughes said it best. Only Petey can get the most out of Petey. It's not a coaching level type of accountability. And I think that is 100% nail on the head. I mean, you can't coach the offensive instincts that Pettersson showed in the past. Like, that comes from the player himself. No coach wants to limit that ability. It came from within, from not being prepared, maybe on the mental health side, whatever was going on. It wasn't a coaching thing to me at all with Elias Pettersson. It was mainly a mental thing. But let's get to a couple more comments here before we wrap up on Locked On Canucks. A couple more ideas about who should be behind the Canucks bench next season. Let's go to Mother Knucker. First off, saying we should bring in, Sam Hallam, Black Betty. Oh, I messed it up. But you know what I mean? Sam Hallam, Elias Pettersson's former coach in the SHL. I mean, you know what? I would have been more for it if I didn't see Sam Hallam bench Elias Pettersson at the Four Nations for his lack of a performance. I'm not quite sure about that one. And shout out to Andrew as well, saying he liked Burrows back in Vancouver. And Burrows, again, got some head coaching experience. He's now available for hire, not behind an NHL bench at the moment. And I think many of us would love to see either Alex Burrows or the Sedin Twins behind the bench. That is an automatic PR win for the Vancouver Canucks.
How about Kevin Bieksa? No, just in general. Like, how about guys from that regime who bled for the blue and green who also practice hard, right? Who just understand what it takes to succeed and want to do good for the city, right? How about a guy that scored 30 goals and signed a 4-year deal worth $8 million in total, $2 million per? Do you remember that, Trevor? How did remember Burroughs did that? He literally scored 30 goals, and he's like up for a deal, and he's like, sure, I'll sign for $2 million per. I'll make Matthew Chouinard money. Unreal, man. Unreal. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, Trevor.
Hello. My name's Adam Foote, head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. My favorite Canucks podcast is Locked On Canucks. If you have a foot fetish or feet fetish like me, hit the like button, subscribe, and thank you. Go Kyle and Trevor. Love ya.
Thanks, head coach.
Man. That's unbelievable, man. Adam Foote himself joining us here on Locked On Canucks, man.
Yeah, we made it, bro. We made it. What are the chances that the 22nd head coach in Canucks history, Adam Foote, just co-signed us? So hit the links in the bio. Join the Discord. We got a new Substack coming out tomorrow. Obviously, we're going to write about the foot fetish. And I'm excited to actually write about it, Trevor, because that's when you get the best of me. I think that's when we get the best of Trevor, too. So join the Substack. We already released 2 articles every Monday and Friday. We'll dish it out. And thanks again to Adam Foote and the people. We're going to get through this, people. We're going to get through this. And honestly speaking, I hope that when we win the Stanley Cup next year, we're all sucking some toes. I mean, we're all just having the foot fetish. I mean, we're all just appreciating feet. We're all just this is all part of the plan. Okay. You can't go 1 foot forward if you don't take 2 foot back. That's what I meant to say, Trevor.
I'll be damned.
Man, oh man, you heard it here first on Locked On Canucks. If you love feet, make sure you go like and subscribe to the show on the podcast side. Go foot us. I mean, go follow us and leave a 5-star review. Go Feet, go. Big fan of the Feet. Adam Foote is the head coach, man. I'm all on board, okay? We'll be back to talk more about feet and your Vancouver Canucks here next time on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.